Hey, what is going on, Treasure Box family? Welcome to the show, episode 24 of the Music Producers Treasure Box podcast. This is your host, FERMI here, and I am so excited to be hitting y'all with episode 24. Can you believe that we are here? I mean, we are about to celebrate next week our episode 25, and man, that is a quarter to 100. We are going to keep delivering. We are going to keep going. I'm sorry, but every episode keeps getting better. My production quality, my questions, my guests, everything on the show has been improving, and I hope that if you have been listening since the beginning, so has your mindset around how you make music, how you attract an audience, and how you grow your career, whether you are just starting out or whether you're further along in the game, has been improving. This show, the Music Producers Treasure Box, is for you, my friends. I am out here hustling, trying to get the best minds in the music business onto the show, and also getting the best underground musicians onto the show, as well as people in music business, whether in publicity, artist management, mastering engineering, so that we can discuss tips and tricks that can accelerate your growth and make a huge impact for you as you learn and grow alongside me and our community. If you have not yet jumped over to the Facebook page, be sure to hit the link in the show notes and join our Facebook group, the support group for music producers, beat makers, and engineers. We want to see you in there. I want to hear your projects. I want to know what you got coming out tomorrow and what your outlook is for the future. Today's show is going to be super fun for me. Over the next two episodes, I am highlighting some of my favorite clips and favorite moments in the show. And the first thing that I really wanted to highlight was that this all started out from my love and my passion for music. I know that y'all feel me on this. Music is a powerful force that can unite so many folks. And, honestly, even if I make not $1 from a song, I enjoy the experience of creating it. I learned something in that process about myself and about sounds. And that, to me, is one of the greatest values. One thing that I've uncovered in the show is that we are artists. Yes, we need to have a business mindset, but at the end of the day, we need to love what we do. Listen in as one of my earlier guests on the show, Kato on the Track, talks about his early days and finding his place in the music industry. Now he is making six figures in this game through multiple streams of income, whether it is through licensing, placements with artists, or a recent venture that he has gone on to since our interview, a tour with studio musicians on a mentorship type tip. Check out what he had to say about his career development.
Well, it definitely didn't happen overnight, that's for damn sure. It's just kind of been, one thing at a time. My career's just been almost like a story, just like a long narrative of this kid that just loved making music and kind of stumbled upon music production, started making beats. And then from there, I just started working with different artists and then got signed to a label and then got some cool placements and then kind of fell back from the placements game and started exploring different entrepreneurial ventures like Music Entrepreneur Club, and then got really heavy into social media. And now I'm all about content. So, it's just been a long progression of different opportunities and different ventures that I've experimented with my entire career. And so I kind of pride myself on that part, just trying different things and figuring out what lane works for me and kind of where I fit into this whole puzzle,
That was just one piece of an interview with Kato on the Track. And, as he said, it started from a love of music. I bet you he would never imagine. He had dreamed of making six figures. Now he is doing it. What I heard him say as well during the interview and kind of alluded to in that clip was that, he is now focused on a little bit of a different aspect of the business than when he first started. He mastered the basics. He actually spoke to us later in that interview about how 80% of the time, he is not actually working on music at this point. Now, for years, he made beat after beat after beat in the studio. So at this point, when he sits down to produce music and craft his sound, he knows what he's going for. He knows what he's doing. And he gets in there, he bangs it out with 20% of his time. On the flip side of that, he is developing business strategies. He is making content, as he pointed out. One important thing to think about when you are a musician is how are you spending your time? And a different guest that was on our show that spoke eloquently about this topic and the importance of compartmentalizing your time and building out your calendar, building out your schedule, and making sure every second is valuable was my first guest on the show, Mr. Paze Infinite. Let's check out what he had to say on the subject. Tell me a little bit about how you actually compartmentalize your time. I know you've got a beautiful daughter. How do you balance time? How do you juggle it all?
Right. So it's really about staying focused to whatever times you spend on your music. I said, okay, during these times, I'm going to work. And that's part of the organization. Like, I'm going to work from, we'll say 8 to 12. Now, within that time, I may be working on a new project, but nothing's flowing. So from there, there's so many other things I could be doing, right? Might take time to like promote the new project more, post something on Instagram and say, oh yeah, by the way, my new project is out, or take a break, take a little breather. But I set those boundaries that time. And I also set it with the tracks that I'm working on. If I'm working on a track, I'll give myself a certain time, like say like an hour. And if I'm not where I want to be, I stop it altogether. Because when you start dragging on and nothing's coming to you, it's just not going to work. I have a list of things in my head that, okay, this is priority. I need to work on this track. If that's not working, what do I do next? I could promote. I could work on a beat video. So that creative time I spend, there's a whole bunch of different aspects that I could work on, whether it's working on a beat video, to post on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or whatever, promoting new projects, spend time also listening to other projects. And I mean, this is just like in life, like you should compartmentalize everything. If you're all over the place as far as like, well, I'm working on these beats, but I need to go pay my bills and doing all that at the same time, you may find that you're not getting anywhere fast.
So it's super critical that everybody out there builds a calendar. Everyone out there starts their day with a list and a plan. I have had days where I've been ultra successful. I've been ultra productive. And I'll tell you, what I've done is actually just planned out hour by hour, minute by minute, what I am going to be doing. The flip side of that is you cannot get upset if things don't go exactly as planned. But by having that plan, you stay much closer to your ambitions and you stay much closer to achieving all that you would like to achieve. Paze Infinite spoke great about it, and it ties in as well with what my man Kato said. You have to wear many different hats in this game. And because of that, it's really important nowadays that you stay on task and you are accomplishing all the things that you need to do. Look, you cannot neglect your music. At the end of the day, your music is what makes you. Your music is the crown jewel of your brand. However, there is a lot of things underlying, right? Now, when you think about the full crown or the full structure of your brand, there's got to be marketing behind it. There's got to be well-made content that isn't just your song, but maybe a beat video or something visual. I talked about in my last episode, that was my interview with Mayaewk, that you need to consider this day and age is video heavy and visual heavy. We are sonic art, and in order to really reach more listeners, we also need to integrate some dope visuals. That being said, again, this is all about music. Music is what I love, and I know that's why you listen to my show. It was really cool to listen to my man, Adam Gonsalves from Telegraph Mastering, talk about his appreciation of the music producer. So let's listen to what he had to say.
Speaking to the hard work that producers put in, I mean, it's sometimes the beat is way more interesting than what's happening lyrically. And I, like for the really, we're talking, specifically about hip hop stuff now, but like, for the really, really good beat makers like, Madlib or MF Doom or Adrian Young or if you're into like acoustic beat makers, like Bad Bad Not Good, who are like using an actual band to make the beats.
Yeah.
I want to hear what those guys are doing without someone talking over it, because that is, really a lot of times every bit as interesting as the skill that the MC is putting in. And it's the same thing, for example, like now he does kind of like electronic music that's like crossing over into pop, but there's this guy, Trent Mahler, and now he has people singing over his beats. But, back in the day, it It was just beats. And the most recent record that he had was beautiful. He got these, the opening track has this amazing female vocalist over it. But I did find myself like, I wish I could just get Trent Mahler records like back in the day where it was, just the music. So yeah, that's for all the hard work that producers do, know that fans are out there wanting specifically to listen just to what you did.
Man, it brings a smile on my face just hearing how Adam speaks about music. That guy right there. Go back and listen to the show. We laughed a lot and we spoke so much about his love of music. And it just made me feel like a kid again. We even talked about how we were super excited to go to record stores when we were younger, when CDs were still a big thing, and when big releases would come out. Just the feeling that we had when we would go back and cop that hot new CD that's coming out on release day. Man, brings back some memories. What he spoke about right there, he highlighted what we do, right? You all out there listening are musicians. You are the creators. You are the backbone of all these smash hit songs that have come out and that will come out in the future. I know that your music, your beats, your bass lines, your synths, your melodies are the core of a hit song. Yes, lyrics are important, but we lay that foundation and we make this happen. Another artist that came onto our show was DJ Nasty P. And he actually spoke in response to my question about the new trap sound and staying relevant. And what stuck with me from his comment will stick with me forever. To be a real musician, to be a successful musician, you have to evolve. But first, you have to just be a fan of the music. Be open-minded, soak in what is coming out, whether it's the latest pop craze or something from the deep underground. Check it out. But how do you stay relevant? Like, how do you continue to create a sound that evolves with time while still paying homage to that old school sound?
If you try to do the new sound because you think you won't be relevant, then you probably won't be. You'll be irrelevant.
Yeah.
But at the same time, for the old school people that kind of, if you're saying, "Oh, I don't like all this new stuff and all that," that's kind of fair enough. But
yeah,
the flip side of the coin, if you're stuck being a fan, then sometimes the best songs I ever make is because I was the biggest fan of that sound, or
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So that almost like a correlation between how much a fan of the thing you're doing is.
Definitely.
So you should always just embrace, to cut out the stuff that really isn't working for you, the brand new stuff. But I mean, you've seen how amazing some of that stuff hits in clubs and stuff.
Yeah.
And just got to be creative with the way you see it as a whole, sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think you see it from both sides, right? Since you're the DJ as well, you want to make sure you're staying relevant. You're playing tracks that people like, that's going to get them hype, that they recognize as well. You can't play a bunch of obscure stuff.
For the DJ, I think the advantage the DJ has as a producer is that you're testing out your music on the radio all the time in the clubs, and the fact that you're almost pulled to be like, well, I don't want to, be a muso snob and play and just have my head down when I'm DJing and folk going, what is going on? It's like I quite like the idea of going, I go in their lane. But the thing, I can't remember what DJ said this, but he said that what makes a really good DJ is that, they don't just play the stuff the audience really wanted. They play something that they don't know, but they didn't know they really wanted it. If you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I think you're seeing how people are responding firsthand, right? You see what people are into. You probably cater to them a little bit and play what they want, but that's a dope way to phrase it as well. You're also playing what they don't know they want. Oh, DJ Nasty P. Man, he had a great episode, and it was actually the only time so far that we have had a DJ on the show. And I think a DJ really brings a different perspective to the music production game. And I really value his music, his whole catalog. If you were to check it out, goes all over the place. It all works together, but he integrates his love of boom bap music with his love of more alternative sounds with the modern day club music. I mean, I'm telling you, the guy does it seamlessly, and he creates a unique sound, as well as remixing trap artists. Some of those little raw, uncut trap edits that he puts on his Instagram are fire. Transitioning out of this whole discussion around being a fan of music, loving music, I want to go into a little bit more of our business aspects to this game. On my show, I've had a number of guests who are able to speak and give bomb insights on what you need to do to professionalize and get your game into tip-top shape so that you can shine not just as an amazing artist, an amazing creator, but also as an awesome brand and an awesome marketer. Along with that whole thing comes networking, right? That is a key part of this business. And when I think about networking, I think about awesome relationships and hopefully some amazing collaborations to come. Kato on the track spoke about collaborating with 30 on a new album that they had recently released. And as he should be, he's a bit picky with who he works for. Let's listen in on what he values in a collaborator, and hopefully you take some notes. Don't start collaborating with just anybody. Collaborate with folks that are aligned with your mission and values and that can match your work ethic, so this is a match made in heaven.
And time in with someone, they have to have the drive and the work ethic and the willingness and the resourcefulness. You know, it's a lot of different parts that I think you have to be a successful artist in 2019. So the talent is, of course, number one. Like, you have to have great music, but if you don't work hard, then none of this that 30 and I have done will even be possible. I didn't have anything to do with the music video. That's all him, like, reaching out to his video guy and having the right relationships and going out and doing it. Like, he executed on his own. I didn't have to hold his hand through the process. I didn't really have to hold his hand through any of the process.
Right. He
was sending me music nonstop. I would get ideas and cook up, you know, beats and production that I think he would be dope on. And I'd send them to him. He'd record them in his bedroom. He'd knock them out. We get them mixed by our engineer. But he even mixes his own songs too, you know, and they sound great. So it's like, you know, me being as self-sufficient as I am, if we're doing a long distance collab, or if any artist or producer duo is doing a long distance collab, both parties have to equally be as self-sufficient, or else the workload isn't going to be even, and it's just not going to be a productive use of time.
Collaboration is critical in this game. It allows you to scale in different directions or touch on different people's audiences so that you can get exposure and you can pick up your next best fan. As Kato pointed out, the workload has got to be even, and you need to align yourself with the kind of people that are driven and ambitious, the kind of folks that are going to be successful at all costs. So if that's you, definitely seek out those same type of mentalities when you're looking for a collaborator. Along with his insights on collaboration, Kato dropped something that I've been personally raving about forever, and I had to underscore and highlight by including in this show. For instance, when you're reaching out to potential folks that you want to collaborate with, don't be offended if they don't hit you back right away on the DM or via email, even on the phone. Look, people have lives. People have a lot of things going on. People might not be able to manage everything that is hitting their inbox. Or, you know, somebody like me might just have a screaming kid, my son or my daughter, run up to me right as I see it, and boop, the idea goes straight out of the head. So don't take things too personal, and don't get all bent out of shape. Remember, you got to stay persistent. That's a part of that ambition.
I was at a workshop the other week, and just out of nowhere, out of the blue, Ludacris walked in, and he was, you know, I was a guest speaker on the workshop, but he was super cool, more than willing to come up and just start answering questions. And I remember one person from the crowd asked him, if you could go back and give a younger you some advice, what would you tell yourself?
Yeah.
And Luda's response was, don't take it personal. Like, everyone has an agenda in the music industry, and 9 times out of 10, like, people are just trying to do their jobs and get paid and feed their families. Like, there's nothing personal about the music industry, or it shouldn't be, you know, but I understand how we are, because we're so protective and sensitive about our craft, because we put our blood, sweat, and tears into it. But at the same time, it's a business. And so you just can't take things personal on that level. So it's great advice, man. Like, I really believe that you can't take stuff personal, because usually it's not.
And another person on my show that echoed some of the same sentiments was KJ Blattenbauer. She is a publicist for many different brands, many different influencers. And me and her were discussing in depth that people get flooded with emails. People get flooded with potential sponsorships if they are a big brand, with potential inquiries to get quotes for media outlets, right? There's all these different things going on. I don't know about you, but I've got about 8 email accounts for my businesses and for my personal life. And it is hard sometimes, some days, to stay on top of it all. People all have their own productivity hacks. And sometimes, just like you and me, they slack. We got to give people that grace, and we got to understand it's not personal. This is business, and other people also, they do make mistakes, So stay resilient, stay ambitious, and just hit them up again. Not with a nick on your shoulder, just with an honest question and an honest desire to work with them in whatever capacity that may be. Speaking of KJ Blattenbauer, that was honestly one of my favorite shows because it was so different from the other things we have done so far on the show. Let's hear something from that episode where KJ really talked about how you can shine and show yourself as somebody different from the competition and get media coverage, free advertisement through the media. Check it out.
You don't want to be pitching and promoting yourself as the next big thing in a certain genre of music and then have people Google you and not be able to find you anywhere. Absolutely. That would probably be the most embarrassing thing. They'd be like the next biggest thing that you can't find anywhere. So there are so many musicians, music publicists, producers just flooding the inboxes of the media. The first thing an editor or writer is going to do when you send them a pitch or give them a call or send your stuff to them is they're going to go online and they're going to Google you. And they're going to very quickly weed out who not to cover based on who doesn't have a professional looking appearance online, because we all do it, right? You go to a restaurant, like you want to order a pizza and you Google and the pizza place looks like the pictures on it or the website haven't been updated since 1950 before the internet existed. You're not going to go there to eat food, right? So the same thing applies to having your presence online. I call it your publicity house, just in order. And I really want to stress with your publicity house and your presence online, I'm not saying that you need to have 1 million likes on a photo or 10,000 followers or anything like that. I think you just have to have consistent online activity. You're engaging with your fans. If someone's reached out, you've responded, you've posted in the last 2 weeks to your social media feeds. I'm not asking you to move heaven and earth. I'm just asking you to maintain a consistent pulse of information and be online.
So there you have it. Some insights from a publicist and PR master. That's the ninja right there of PR tactics, KJ Blattenbauer, talking about one aspect of keeping your publicity house in order, about how the media folks, the journalists out there that can cover you, will actually look you up and take you more serious. If you liked what you heard there, check out her episode because she dropped many, many jewels. That was 45 minutes of straight value that she smashed into our face, basically. She talks fast, so she said a lot of things. I'm not lying. Additional to that, I really loved how KJ spoke about the importance of niching down. In some of my recent episodes, I've talked about marketing. I've talked about the One Funnel Away Challenge. I've talked about all these different things that have put my mindset in a different place, and I've tried to take y'all through that journey. But when I listened back to KJ's statements, it just, put another light bulb off in my head. It is so difficult when I'm talking to artists or different people that do influencer marketing for some of the newer ones to actually niche down. Like, for instance, if you're into fitness, hey, maybe you're into fitness, but are you into bodybuilding? Are you into CrossFit? Are you into long distance running? Are you into gymnastics? There's so many different types of niches within the niche, okay? And you actually need to think about that as a musician as well. Not only that, but how do you define your brand? Or what kind of things would people think of when they think of you? What is your magnet? Do they associate with you because they're from the same state, from the same city, from the same ethnic background? Maybe you speak a foreign language and they speak that as well. You automatically got a leg up on the competition, and you are going to connect with their heart in a unique way. Let's check out what KJ had to say about it, though.
It's going to make me, I think, a little bit unpopular, but you need to identify a specific niche or genre, because a critical component to your PR campaign is going to be how you identify yourself. Mm-hmm. I think people in general, with the dawn of social media, anyone or YouTube, anyone who picks up an instrument or has written a poem once in their life can be like, I'm a singer or a songwriter. And so I think when people see that, especially in the media, their eyes just glaze over. So you might be the best singer-songwriter that was ever out there, but if you can't further categorize yourself, then how are publications going to know to cover you, right? Because there's some that are just going to cover folk music, and there's some that are just going to cover rap, and there's some that are going to do the whole gamut. But it's important when you think of the media you want to appear in or the audience you want to attract, if you can really delve down and get real specific.
Man, I'm telling you, I recently heard a different podcast, or maybe I read it in an article, about somebody who is making over six figures. I think they might have made $1 million doing different things over the last 5 years in a niche that I didn't even know existed, Celtic rock. I mean, I've been a big champion. I think this is the age where you can literally do anything you want. If you have an understanding of how you attract the right audience from the niche that you've selected, you can do anything you want. It's just a matter of selecting the right niche and really getting them the right kind of product with high quality and high value, and they are going to flock to it. It's all within reach. All right, let's talk a little bit about, the tools of the trade, the different DAWs, how you can mix and master better, and some of the tips and tricks for creating an amazing sound and getting your music out there. First, I want to roll into the French sensation Mayaewk and what he said about just getting that music out there. What he specifically uses is the SP404, and he talks to us in this clip about why he uses it and the importance of just getting those tracks out there and not over mixing. Like, remove some of that complication. I know that a lot of folks out there think they need the best DAW. Hey, which DAW should I use? How should I record music? What's the best program? What's the best VST? What's the best synth? And it's all about chasing and seeking things that they don't necessarily need, because you can make great music using anything, right? So a case in point, the SP404 is a great machine, by the way, but you're doing it all in the unit, mixing it, and all you do is bounce it out for a quick master and you put it out, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of why I love the SP when I got it, because I was kind of this type of people. I use lots of. I used to make only DAW produce music, worked a lot with Ableton or Cubase or stuff. I wasted so much time mixing or over mixing stuff and remixing little parts, and then in the end you're never really happy with the end result, and sometimes you just end up not releasing anything. So that's also why you asked me how I was that consistent or whatever, and it's I think it's also because you can't really overproduce stuff on the SP, so you just get to the point, and when it's done, and maybe a little part is not perfectly mixed or whatever, but it's gonna be good anyway. So
a huge theme on the show has been not to chase perfection. That being said, I do apologize about Mayaewk's recording quality. That show, I feel like we need a redo. He's got so many awesome stuff that he's dropped since then. So honestly, we should just get him back on the show. If you love him, hit him up at Mayaewk on Instagram and say, yo, get back on Music Producers Treasure Box, bro. We want to hear more insights. We want to have a redo on that. The audio quality was unique. Another person I love back on the show is Adam Gonsalves from Telegraph Mastering. He also dropped tons of jewels on the technical side of things when it comes to recording your songs, mixing, mastering, and all the above. That is his forte. Let's hear what he had to say about mixing specifically for electronic artists.
Specifically for electronic music sometimes, something with a beat, let's say. A lot of attention is of course paid to the sculpting of the low end and the brightness and the attention getting kind of attack of the high end, but a lot of times, man, the magic is still in the mid range. And don't sometimes you see this low end that's kind of just been poured over, and the mid range is kind of a mess. And that's still where your melody is. And it's really, really fun to play with the extremes and have the graph, the EQ graph kind of have these huge corners that pull up on either end, but don't skimp on making the mid-range just right, because that's, again, not only is that where your melody stuff is going to be, you know, sometimes I see people give mixes where there's, you know, sort of loving attention paid to awesome sounding, very, very cool sub-elements. Yeah. You know, if somebody's listening to this in their car or on stock headphones, they're actually not even going to be able to hear that. So common electronic music producer trap, I would say, is make sure you focus on the mid-range still. That's very important. It's really, really easy and can seem really like the right solution to get very aggressive with panning. But building off of the phase comment that I made earlier, you know, if you're having trouble finding a place for something in a mix, you know, throwing things out to these weird corners with panning could be a good resolution to your problem. But it might not be. I mean, the song still needs to have a center, and it's you. If you're finding, you know, if you're like getting a little bit seasick listening to your music because all the elements are out, because that's the way that you found space for them in the mix. Yeah. And there's really nothing happening in the center. Like, you might want to pull a little bit of that back in.
Oh man, I'll tell you, these clips have gotten me so excited, and I'm just so happy to be sharing the Music Producers Treasure Box experience with you all. We have got so much in store. I've got some amazing interviews recorded for episodes 26 and beyond. But this week for episode 24 and next week, episode 25, we are going to continue to just celebrate the amazing guests that have blessed our mic. Look, I hope that this podcast has been helpful for you. Not only just today's show, but all of the previous 24 episodes. If you are new to the show, please subscribe. Make sure that you give us a review on iTunes. And I appreciate you so much. Whether you're new or a longtime listener, I invite you to join our Facebook group where you can trade insights, trade information with me, some of our guests on the show, as well as each other. With that, I want to say have a great week, everybody out there. We will see you next week here on the show. I appreciate what y'all do. Music producers, we are the lifeblood of the music industry. Let's get in the studio and craft some dope beats. Peace.